All right, chapter 7. Chapter 7 of Skylark. All right, there's a question I want you to read to find out, okay? Here's your RFO question. What is important about Sarah writing her name in the sand? Why is it important that she writes her name in the land there? Okay? All right, here we go. Chapter 7. We sat on the porch out in the terrible sun. Maggie was fanning herself. Sarah was mixing batter for biscuits. Rose and Violet rolled a ball into the dirt to Tom. Caleb sat watching the sky for clouds. This heat, said Maggie wearily. I dream of an old home sometimes, and I dream of long, cool mornings of sleep without the baby waking. Sarah smiled. Night dreams or daydreams? She asked. What's a daydream? Asked Caleb. Sarah sat back and looked at Tom crawling happily into the dirt. Sometimes, no matter where you are, you think of something sweet and cool. A place, maybe. And suddenly it's there. Or maybe it's something you wish for. And it is so near that you can touch it. You can smell it. You can hear the sound of it. Sarah looked up suddenly as if caught up in her thoughts. She's dreaming about Maine, Caleb whispered to me. No, it's not Maine, I thought. It's not Maine she's thinking of. It's something else. Tom grabbed the ball and held it over his head. Sarah smiled. I have dreams, Sarah, Caleb said. Good dreams, Caleb? She asked. I dream about rain, said Caleb. Do you? Do you dream about rain? Sarah reached over and she took Caleb on her lap. Yes, Caleb, I dream about rain. Good, he said. Then it will come true. But rain was only in our dreams. The wind came every day, blowing dust through the windows and into the house until it covered the furniture and got into the food and our clothes and even in our hair. The land even got drier and we stopped taking baths. Every day we hauled river water for the animals in the big wooden barrels. And then the worst thing happened. We drove to the river in our wagon, emptied the barrels in the back. Clouds hung high in the sky, and Maggie sat in the wagon by the riverbed. Matthew stood on the bluff over the river looking down. Hello, Maggie, said Sarah. But Maggie didn't speak. She didn't even look up at us. We got down from the wagon and the river was nearly dry. Only a small trickle in the red prairie dust. What will we do? Whispered Sarah. We'll have to travel farther for water, said Papa. Think about it, Jacob, said Matthew. It'll be like a 3-day trip, maybe 4, and when we get back home, then what? Water for the crops? There are no crops. Papa looked at Matthew and then away over the land. Matthew sighed. Maggie and I have been talking about another way, he said. What? Asked Sarah. I think that what Maggie means is that they're thinking about leaving, said Papa. Sarah turned and looked up at Maggie in the wagon. Leaving? She said. Her voice was rough like the fields. Maggie climbed down and went behind the wagon. Sarah followed her. I walked closer and stood out of sight and saw Sarah put out her hand to touch Maggie. But Maggie took a step away, as if Sarah's comfort was too hard. And I heard words I wished I had never heard. I hate this land, said Sarah. I don't have to love it the way Matthew and Jacob love it. They give it everything, and it gives them nothing back. They don't know anything else, Sarah, said Maggie. I closed my eyes, but I couldn't close out Sarah's words. Jacob once said his name was written in this land, but mine isn't. It isn't, said Sarah angrily. You are like the prairie lark, you know, said Maggie. It sings a song above the land to let all the birds know it's there before it plunges down to the earth to make its home. But you have not come to earth, Sarah. There was silence then, and I opened my eyes open again. You don't have to love this land, said Maggie. But if you don't love it, you won't survive. Jacob's right. You have to write your name in the land to live here." Sarah didn't speak. She took a handful of prairie dust, dry ground, in her hands, letting it crumble through her fingers, and then she walked away from us. Through the dried grass, out onto the brown prairie that was all dark. It stretched all the way to the sky. She stood there all alone until Papa went to tell her that it was time to go home. And Anna wrote, "We hung wildflowers from the ceiling to dry them for winter. And I remember Sarah cut our hair, tossing it into the field so the birds could use it for their nests. And we sang. When Sarah read books with us, even her words sounded like a bird song."